last hospital stay I had before I came here in November, I almost died. As far as injuries, man, they go back to college ball. And I had my first lumbar fusion in 2002. I've had 6 shoulder surgeries. I popped a bicep in 2. I had the second lumbar fusion to fix the first one. I had a total hip replacement. And then through the years, just lifting, SWAT, firearms. CPI does such a great job. It's a state-of-the-art facility. The doctors are unbelievable. The staff is unbelievable. I got 20 million stem cells in my right shoulder. I got 10 million in my left, but after the MRIs, we ended up going 70 million in my neck. And then I did 120 million overall in the IV. I'm at my 6-month mark now. My range of motion is insane now. I threw a ball and I went, man, I ain't been able to throw a ball like that in forever. I sleep a lot better. I know that there's growth happening in my neck. I can feel it. I would say probably the biggest results is pain-free. I'm very pleased. Best hospital stay I've ever had.
CPI Podcast got an amazing guest down here today. Scott Payne, brother, good to see you again. I want to start out by saying congratulations on the Rogan podcast. I've listened to it like twice now. If people haven't listened to it, I think it's some of the best storytelling you're going to hear on Rogan in a while.
Appreciate it.
How'd you get hooked up with Joe? How'd that come to?
Well, it's funny. Once I finally met the publicist on a Zoom call for the book, he's like, hey, this is what we do. I get on here. You can get these shows. I'm friends with these people. Is there a show that you watch that you'd like to be on? I said, yeah, Joe Rogan. And he said, his face was like, well, I like where your head's at, but that's the top. And I said, I know.
Top of the top.
Yeah. So I just gave a couple of things. I'm like, look, I talked about, I knew you guys with CPI. I said, look, a lot of his security are retired cops. And then the editor for my book was the editor for Tim Kennedy's book, Scars and Stripes, under Simon & Schuster as well. So I don't know what they said beyond that, but he called me the week before I came. Yeah, the week before I came here in November for my first time, they called me and said, we need to talk ASAP about possible dates for Joe Rogan. I said, well, you tell me when to be there. Yeah. I said, you don't, you be there tomorrow.
We work around his schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
The other way around.
I'll be there tomorrow if he wants.
Yeah. By the way, anybody that's watching, do not send me a DM. I cannot get you on the Joe Rogan show.
Exactly.
I don't know if you're running into that now, but like all the time, people are like, hey, can you get me on Rogan's? I'm like, fuck no. I'm like, how am I going to get you on fucking
right before the recording starts, because it opens with him going, man, you've lived a crazy life. Right before that, we're talking, and I said, man, I don't know if you know this. I said, but ever since people found out I'm coming on your show, it's like, bro, if you could just say my name, I'll be forever in debt. Text messages, emails, phone calls, and then it's, hey, here's 2 business cards. I need to give one to Joe and then give one to, and then they're like, Scott, you need your own shirt with your website. You need to be on there wearing Scott Payne merchandise. I said, hell no. I'm like, I'm not walking on there, with a hat.
I am Scott Payne.com.
Here's a business card. Here's a business card. How you doing?
You got a second business card this big. Joe's probably got like a special garbage can that's like overflowing with business cards that people threw.
Just keep a shredder right there.
You know what I mean? It's
But yeah, he laughed. I said, can you imagine if I came in here doing all that shit? And he said, probably wouldn't have went too well. I said, right.
Yeah. It's I get it all the time, you know what I mean? It's like, no, you know what I mean? But it's been, to see, I don't even know how long I know Joe, 20 plus years through jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Right. And even when I first started, I knew Eddie, Eddie Bravo, and I started going to train with Eddie Bravo.
Yep.
And Joe was there. And I'd heard of him from doing some announcing, but I didn't, really know him or know like what he, it's just another, that's the thing about jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
You get on the mat, it doesn't matter who really you are.
Yeah,
we're just training, cop, criminal, whatever, doctor, lawyer, like nobody really cares, you know what I mean? It's like, we're just going to try to kick each other's ass, And, but so you couldn't have him to a better guy, Joe, the more you get to know him, the greater you realize how cool he is.
Just immediately, he's like, man, thank you so much for coming out. So thank you.
Forever grateful, for everything that he's
amazing.
Even long before CPI, he was a super supporter of On the Mat, my jiu-jitsu brand. Yeah, you wear my gear. And, hey, send me another box, and I do photo shoots in them and stuff. So,
yeah.
I doubt Joe's listening, but if you are, thanks, bro.
Thank you too. Yeah.
He probably doesn't listen to too many podcasts.
He's a busy man as well.
So, yeah, kind of. Yeah. So, Man, I don't want to get into too much of what was on Joe Rogan, but like, first of all, how'd you end up down here with us, right? You came down, you worked with Chrissy through Miracle Hope, which is the foundation that helps out
For this trip, yes.
for veterans and first responders.
Which is amazing and greatly needed because a lot of people in those professions, we do tear ourselves up, and then there's not a lot for you there when you retire. There's probably not a lot for a lot of you while you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I worked with Christy. She's amazing.
Awesome. Yeah.
What a great experience that was, and then it also allowed my daughter to come too. So
Yeah.
but that's a good foundation. I'm going to be helping them with more stuff. We talked yesterday, and they got some concert events and stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, I'll come help with whatever you need.
Yeah, and that I've talked to a lot of the people that have come through Miracle Hope, the veterans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's always great people. And the best thing is like the community, how they start to support each other and work together.
Because
I feel like in our country, like, vets, first of all, everyone, they kind of been disrespected a little bit lately. You know what I mean?
there's not a lot of awesome stories from the VA.
Oh yeah, I hear
Any VA.
in cancer. We treat because we all, Ed's parents are veterans, and I got a lot of people, mostly devil dogs in my family.
Yeah.
My mom was like, "No way, you're ever going in the military." But the VA for cancer patients, like we would have, because we help them out a lot too when they come down here for cancer treatments, and the stories are horrendous.
Yeah, terrible.
And it's
just like you're
like, what is it?
not even a number, less than a number.
Yeah.
It's
we can't. Good luck getting someone to answer the phone.
Yeah.
Good luck. Hard for us to get the patient's medical records to even help them.
Yeah.
So it's brutal.
And that's another great thing.
And why is what you got any opinion? Why is it like that?
Too much government.
Yeah.
Over the years, it's the red tape, and unless something unfortunately, it usually takes something drastic to change things. And maybe that's going to happen. I've heard a lot of people come in and say, we're going to make the VA, and but then I've got friends that I see weekly, and they are vets, and they're trying to get stuff done at the VA, and there's not a lot of great stories.
Yeah. Well, but I have heard a lot of great stories about vets, getting out of the country,
Yes.
I've heard a lot about vets doing Ibogaine, about doing ayahuasca. I believe there's a couple places down here in Mexico that have been taking care of the vets and getting good.
What was it? The ketamine and some other stuff they're doing.
Ibogaine is like as a psychedelic. It's really good for like opiate withdrawal and PTSD stuff. Ayahuasca, I don't know as much about ayahuasca other than what Joe talks about.
Yeah, the PTSD. I've got some friends because I'm still an active shooter instructor, and doing tactics and firearms and stuff like that through Alert, which is an organization out of Texas. And there's a lot of like special forces dudes and gals in there, but like, JSOC, this, that, and the other. And I started learning about that stuff because I've got some PTSD, but not at the level some of these vets have. But I did read a letter from a wife who wrote it to say thank you because her husband had PTSD for 10 years. It's a wonder they stayed together. But she was like, just reading it, the highlight, to sum it up is, thank you for giving me my husband back.
Yeah.
Completely good. Reset the brain.
It's awesome.
Yeah. All controlled, though. Not going out there and going to the beach and taking it yourself. It's in a controlled environment.
It's a medical procedure.
Yeah.
It's a medical procedure.
And
it's medicine.
It's doing legit stuff.
It's medicine, yeah.
Which is good.
So, well, in case some fool hasn't seen the Joe Rogan podcast with you, just give me the quick synopsis, like who you are, who you've done. And what I'm curious to know is, you're pretty beat up. Do you have any specific stories about when you got injured, on the job and stuff?
Yeah. Let's see. First of all, 28 years of law enforcement, 5 at a sheriff's office in South Carolina. So three of those years I was uniform patrol, like your uniform patrol cops you see everywhere. And then the last 2, I was a vice narcotics investigator. And then I got picked up by the FBI, or I applied with the FBI and they accepted me, is the way I should have said it. But so I did 23 years in the FBI. First office was New York City. I was still assigned there when 9/11 happened. It's just the day of 9/11, I was actually in San Antonio, Texas, undercover. And then I went to the border of Mexico and McAllen for 6.5 years. And then I got to transfer to East Tennessee. But as far as injuries, man, they go back to college ball. I mean, just doing stupid stuff. I knew I was going to have like the biggest squat on the team, because I knew what everybody had. I knew I was going to beat them all. And I'd never had anybody smack me. I didn't need it. And we were in there, and I just had 550. I mean, I was going to go way higher than that, but I was opening up with like 550. And my buddy smacked me, and it jacked me up, and I dropped too fast. And when I did, I lost my balance and rocked forward, and my butt shot up.
Oof.
And there was no rack. It was just two stands. And instead of just letting it roll over my head and smash me in the ground, I did a good morning with 550 pounds on my back. And that's when I herniated my disc. I didn't know it. I remember exactly what it felt like. And that was the first big one. And I had my first lumbar fusion in 2002. As an agent in McAllen. And what I didn't know until 2020 is that thing had broken free approximately 3 years after I had it. So for about 15 years, what the doctors told me is I was going around with a disconnected back, just broke.
Wow.
No, the cadaver bone wasn't even in place. So I'm just twisted, no disc at all. And then through the years, just lifting, SWAT, firearms, doing all kinds of tactical stuff, fight training, my rotator cuffs, man. I've had 6 shoulder surgeries. Pretty much all of them are rotator cuff tears. I've popped a bicep into. I had the second lumbar fusion to fix the first one 2 Septembers ago. I thought that it was my back spasming. It was my hips. And I had a total hip replacement, quickest surgery I've ever had out of all the surgeries. I think literal cut time was like 30 minutes on the table. But I got sepsis and almost died. So
in America.
Yeah, in America, clearly.
Well, because everybody thinks, you come to Mexico, you're going to get an infection, and
you're going to wake up
and you're going to get the shitty quality service and stuff.
So what I'll say,
I beg to differ, but
and that's what I'll say, and that's what I tell people. I'm like, look, I was a federal agent. I worked the border for 6.5 years. I worked the cartel. I worked in Mexico. Even when I went to Tennessee, we're still working Mexico stuff coming up. And I was a little sketch. I mean, I knew Ed by that time very well. And I tore a rotator cuff again. And I'm like, man, I've got like 15 plus anchors in this shoulder. I don't know. I lost count. How much more can they cut and reattach? And I didn't want to get cut on. I knew my neck had some issues. And I called and started doing research on you guys. And again, a little sketch. I'm like, Tijuana, I'm going to the hospital. I know you guys are on the up and up, but I know what I know too. And man, I got down here. And again, the last hospital stay I had before I came here in November, I almost died. And I came here, and CPI does such a great job. I mean, from picking you up, taking you everywhere. I think we had anywhere from 50 to 100 people there that week. You guys got cars going everywhere. People are going to different MRIs, doing everything. Not one hitch. No, it's just everything was smooth. But when I stayed in everything's top of the line anyway. It's a state-of-the-art facility. The doctors are unbelievable. The staff is unbelievable. And like in America, as I was explaining today to some people I was sitting next to, when I almost died, that was Memorial Day weekend. Everybody's understaffed. I'm in extreme pain because I've got sepsis. I'm screaming bloody murder. But when my medicine would run out at the 4-hour mark or whatever, you can have more medicine. They have to call it in. Then the doctor has to call it, and then it has to get filled. 4 hours. I'm sitting there screaming. Every exhale for 4 hours was either a scream or a moan. And again, understaffed, screaming, pain. Here, best hospital stay I've ever had.
Thank you.
Fully staffed. I mean, everybody, I think I was telling jokes. The people next to me were like, man, we heard you in there laughing, telling, I logged into Netflix and started binge watching stuff. But yeah, it was amazing. And the results, I'm at my 6-month mark now. I did exactly what you guys said. I didn't even go to the gym. I love working out, and I'm going to work out to the day I die and probably then some. But I didn't even go in the gym. I'm like, if I go in the gym, I'm probably going to do something stupid. So I just did very light cardio at my house. And, and I just did the minimal stretches. I took all the videos that you guys have on PT, post-stem cell, took them to my physical therapist in Tennessee. He watched everything, did that. And at 3 months, I started coming back into training very lightly, testing stuff. And my range of motion is insane now. I didn't even think about it, but I was out with my dog in the yard. I threw a ball and I went, man, I ain't been able to throw a ball like that in forever. I didn't try to throw it out, but I'm just like, man, I can throw. That's awesome. And my neck, it ended up being worse than I thought. So when I came here in November, I got 20 million stem cells in my right shoulder. It was worse. I got 10 million in my left, but after the MRIs, we ended up going 70 million in my neck.
Oh my God.
I had 3 levels that were jacked. And then I did 120 million overall in the IV. On top of the NAD.
That's a lot for the neck. That's even a lot for a back.
Yeah. But it was amazing. And today, man, I would say probably the biggest thing right off the bat is pain-free. You get used to, especially in that lifestyle, and I'm not trying to one-up anybody or chest beat, but fighters, first responders, you just get used to being beat up and you just get used to pain. But as you age, it's like, man, I'm waving the white flag. I don't really have anything I want to prove anymore, I just like to age a little more gracefully. And I mean, I would drink every night. I lived on NSAIDs, ibuprofen, Aleve. Man, I took them for breakfast. And that causes its own issues. But when I came here, I mean, I haven't had an NSAID since the week before Thanksgiving in November. And I sleep a lot better. I know that there's growth happening in my neck. I can feel it, and I'm very pleased. And that's why I'm back for the follow-up, but I'm also back to get more stuff.
Yeah. A lot to work on there. Yeah. So you followed the protocol and it worked, huh?
Wow.
Crazy. This week's really good. I just went downstairs and met a bunch of all the returns. Nobody told me they weren't super happy. There was a lady said she couldn't walk for 2 years without massive amounts of pain. It's only been 6 months for her. And she's like, I'm jogging, know. I'm a little soon to be jogging over here, low back, take it easy, but don't overdo it. But
don't be pressing on that spine.
Yeah, it's, people just gotta and I understand being impatient, especially when you get out of pain really quick. But let's be real, it takes time for tissue to grow and mature and strengthen up. And so, I understand, what I mean? Because when I had my back surgery, I was training 2-3 times a day, every day, overtraining for sure. And then to go laying flat on my back for 8 months, your brain goes crazy.
Yeah, it does.
Get it. But if you can switch that, check that.
Learn to play the guitar or something.
I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even I got this weird desk to hold my laptop up at an angle so that I could get work done.
Yeah.
But I needed help to stand up off the toilet.
Yeah.
That's how much pain I was in.
And people, you hear people like, oh man, three months. And I'm like, dude, on the scale of a lifetime, that's nothing. And if you had to go back and got surgery, you'd be out 3 months anyway.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, and a sling.
Yeah, more pain.
And a lot more pain.
And not necessarily going to have. Yeah. Every week, I can't tell you how many people come down here. Yeah, I got the surgery, it didn't work. Yeah.
Or mine.
And I'll ask, how many are here to avoid a surgery, right? Yeah. How many had a surgery? And,
a bunch. I had a bunch.
There's a lot of people
that had a shelf life. That's the big thing. I kept popping rotator cuffs. I say it jokingly, but it turns out at this age, I've realized my genetics aren't as good as I thought they were. So.
What, are you getting shorter?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I mean, I just tear stuff, pop stuff, I probably
am. My rotator cuff, man, but it's come back, man. Yeah. So good. It's so good. I think we were talking about before, I'm back. I can do 20 pull-ups in a row.
Yeah.
It can be a little irritation and stuff. But definitely I couldn't even lift my arm up before.
So for years, even before I tore my rotator cuff again, I couldn't do an incline press movement. I couldn't. I could do flat, I could do decline, and for some reason I could do military overhead. I could not do this 45-degree angle for nothing.
Interesting.
And now I just started last week, so I'm at 6 months, but I was like, you know what, let me grab some dumbbells and see how I feel, or just the bar by itself. And I'm like, this feels pretty good, man.
Nice.
And I'm doing that. I'm not going back into any kind of competing or anything like that. That's not it. It's just to get out of shape slower.
Yeah,
Slow it down, man.
I'm 55 now. People always ask me, like, are you competing? Are you training? I'm like, fuck no. You know what I mean? Like, what do I got to prove? I trained for 30 years. What am I going to fight like senior 9 and like for no money, get hurt and like all this stuff? Like, get out of here, you know? Like, I did my back physical therapy today, you know. Today was leg day, you know. So on leg day, I do physical therapy before, you know, loosen my back up, do all my little movements and stuff, and do my little cat things, you know, before I get going. And then at the end, after leg day, I always do it afterwards too, just to keep it mobile and loose and
the stretching.
And I try to tell people all the time, I'm like, you know, it comes to a point where, especially if you're like us, you're in pain for so long.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to have to deal with that. Like, yeah, you get used to it and you deal with it. But when it's gone, you're like, how did I do that?
Well, I mean, even your family, mine, I'm like, you find out after 6 months to a year that your daughters and your wife have been walking on eggshells because they're just trying to give you rest and not get you upset, but you're walking around in pain and it makes you mean.
Of course, yeah.
You know, and then you might have PTSD on top of it. And you're like, why are you guys being so loud? I just need you to call, you know. And I'm like, once I was told that at the year mark or whatever it was, I felt like such crap. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, you know what? I don't care if I'm in pain. That is not any way I should be acting around you guys. You guys should not be, these girls should not be growing up. You should not be my wife and have to be walking around for this long on eggshells. Yeah. And you have to change your mindset. But like now, I'm like, I don't know however many weeks ago it was, but I was in there playing with the dogs and I was all giddied up, you know, and I was dancing, doing some, just, my wife's like, what is wrong with you? And I go, I feel good. And she's like, go write it down on the calendar. So somewhere in my calendar has the day where I was like, I officially feel great.
Better. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
So, it's amazing stuff.
And I don't know about you. I was eating pain pills for a long time. Those don't put you in a good mood either.
No, they don't.
Not at all. And
I was, my self-medicating was whiskey.
Whiskey, yeah.
It's like,
I did some of that. Not in a long time, but yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't good. And as you age, it's not good. Yeah. Anything in excess is not good, really, you know, but it's just been a game changer for me.
Nice. Well, I'm excited for you to get your back fixed.
Yeah.
Too. Excited for your daughter, too.
Right, yeah, exactly. So, my daughter's here for immuno stuff.
Yeah.
So when I came here in November, I was asking a lot of questions, not just for me, but like a friend who has a brain tumor or my daughter with immuno stuff. And I started finding out more and more. And I'm like, let's get her here, man.
Yeah. I'm glad she's there.
At some point, it's probably going to be my whole family coming here.
Bring him in. There's a lot. I got a guy that's actually, he's on his year return and he brought his family. He sat next to me at dinner at Lorenzo last night. Yeah. And he specifically came and, you know, sometimes for me, it's like hard to remember. Like people look familiar, you know, I'm like, okay, like, you know, has this person been here before? Or they just look like somebody else, you know, and he sat down next to me and one of the patients was like, oh, what do you know? He's like, oh, I'm on my year return, you know? And the patient across from him was doing low back as well as him. Yeah. And, you know, he just turned to me and he's like, this guy saved my life. And I was like, oh, what's up? I didn't even realize you were a return or a new patient, you know? Yeah. Because the returns don't usually come to dinner, but his family was there for the first time. So, and he just let it all out, you know, about how bad he was, how good he was and everything. And it was great for those patients, you know, to hear it, because then when I come in, and then I'm like, yeah, I go to, did you follow the aftercare procedure? He's like, to the T. To the T. You know,
and then some.
You guys hear that? Yeah. You know, like you want the results, you got to follow it to the T.
I'll give you a couple extra weeks. I'm just like, I'm not going to push it, man. You know, and for those who are workoutaholics and all that stuff, it's muscle memory. It comes back. I mean, as soon as
I find when you do a good dose of IV, like the muscles come back way faster than they ever have before. Because I do IV twice a year. And about a month afterwards, I'm at the gym. I'm like, oh, wow, it's kicking in. Yeah. Like I can go way harder. I feel way stronger. You know, we were talking about it. Like I sometimes get a little tendonitis and that just gone, you know? Yeah. So
it's really amazing. I wish it would have been around or I had access to it when I first herniated my first disc.
Oh, me too.
You know, that'd have been awesome, you know, or even my first rotator cuff tears, but I can't say enough good things about it. And I've met so many amazing people coming down here too.
It's always good groups.
Yeah, it's always
a really cool group of people
from all walks of life.
I love it because I got 3 pilots here.
Oh yes, you
3
do,
pilots and some jujitsu guys.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and one of them's a pilot and a jujitsu guy. So I'm like, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Like,
I like it when I sit next to the fighters, or like Tim Sylvia. He's a buddy now. He texts me and calls me Fluffy, and I'm like, who you calling Fluffy? It's 6'8" and 300 and whatever I look up. Well, who you calling Fluffy?
What beast he is. Oh
yeah.
God.
Yeah, it's really good, man. And more people are hearing about it. And, or like when I came back this time, I came for the full week, even though I'm a follow-up because my daughter was coming and I wanted to be here with her. So everybody's asking right off the bat, did you get your neck done? What do you feel? How fast did you feel it? All this stuff. And they're like, and I said, you're going to get the speech. I said, but I'll go ahead and start telling you.
Yeah.
And it's good. They're like, how fast? Okay, everybody's different.
Everybody's just like, how fast? I get it. You want to be out of pain fast, but it's like, how long do you want it to last and how well do you want it to work?
Yeah.
Which one is it?
And then you get we get the WhatsApp, right? So if you come here, for those that don't know, you come here, you get put in your group. So it's like CPI group this week. I have the CPI group from 6 months ago. Well, that group, every now and then, hey, any shoulder people, how are you feeling? Mm-hmm. I'm still feeling this. I'm doing this. And some people are doing too much. Like, man, I'm playing golf. And I'm like, bro, you did your back, but don't be playing. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Put the club
down. Golfers is always the golfers.
I know, man. Put the club down.
It's not the fighters. It's not the extreme sports guys. It's always
man. I mean, I've got plenty of offers. Hey, man, why can't you play golf with us? I go, I'm no golf for at least 3 months, man. Yeah. And I stretched it to 6. And now I'm getting my back done, which means another 3 months with no golf. Oh, well.
But what's cool is like I've noticed once the first time you do the stem cells, right? And I'm not a scientist, not a doctor. This is just my own personal experience.
Yeah.
And I meet, every week I meet the 30 or so new patients and the 30 or so return patients. I talk to everybody. Everybody will talk to me. And I noticed that the first time you do the stem cells, I think they're like foreign to your body. Your body's like, what is this?
Yeah.
Right. And then, the second time, the third time. So I started doing stem cells a long time ago. When I did my rotator cuff tore it on July 4th up with Andy Stump in Montana.
Hey, I was on this podcast.
A great guy, huh?
Yeah.
And so I tore my rotator cuff there so bad I don't know if I'm gonna be able to fly my plane home. And then I got the stem cells 5 days later. And like within a week, 5 days, it was like my body's like, yep, we know what to do with these. And it was just, I just felt it getting better every day. And I had never had, I felt it get better, but it's never been that quick before. It's never been like, so I started asking patients about it too, and like, oh yeah, I felt like results the second time came a lot quicker.
Yeah, I'm getting interested. I'm looking forward to it. A lot of people, they'll be asking, they're like, hey, what do you feel? The main thing that kept coming back from most of us in the group is, dude, let it grow.
Chill. Yeah.
Let it grow, man.
Yeah.
It's new tissue. That's normal. Let it grow. And then Lola might hop in there on some and she'll be like, yes, you're right. Let it grow.
Calm down.
Yeah, be easy.
I don't know how she does it. She has so many of those WhatsApp groups, man. She'll mirror network her. I don't know how.
Yeah, she is. And she responds quickly.
Yep.
You text her, you're like, goodness gracious, how many calls do you take a day?
All day, every day.
Thousands. Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm trying to hire more people and my aftercare, especially when we added because we had people coming back first 3 months, great results. Okay, let's check 6 months. Okay, great results. Then I had my MRI where we looked at it a year later and it looked so good. It was like, we got to start tracking a year.
Yeah.
And so now 6 months in a year is like double. So the aftercare people are like, yo,
hey,
you just doubled our workload, And so I'm getting you some more people, I promise.
This is overlapping.
And, but yeah, we have the best team, man.
I believe so.
Everybody.
And everybody, especially compared to the States. And I love the States. I've had a lot of surgeries. I've spent a lot of money in hospitals. It's just not the same. You're fully staffed here. Everybody's like there on you. You don't have to wait. Hey man, if you're hurting, take care of you. Hey, your blood pressure's a little high this morning to do the NAD. We're going to give you this. It's going to lower your blood pressure by 5. We're going to check it. Okay, you're good and you're good to go. Don't forget the food. The food is amazing.
Good, yeah.
The food is amazing. But, you know, a lot of the stuff, you got good marketing, you get that out there, partnered with UFC, that's good exposure. But for me, when you get here or you get a chance, and the same thing happened, like I just said, I got here Monday, and immediately everybody's like, oh, you're coming back? What did you get done? It's word of mouth.
Right.
It's word of mouth, man. It's like,
we get so many referrals.
Yeah.
Well, we have I think we have 32 returns this week. I don't know if I've met everybody, but everybody I got a chance to check in on. And usually if somebody's not doing good, I'm going to hear from them first.
Yeah.
But everybody's happy. Everybody's good. You know, everybody's.
And there's been so many miracles.
You know.
Like the guy you're talking about that sat next to you on the other side of you at dinner Monday night. That dude couldn't even hardly walk.
Right.
A veteran, and wasn't being taken care of much by the VA, and he's here, and a year later, look at him. He looks good, and I think he's working with the Hope Foundation.
Oh, is he?
I think,
okay.
yeah.
Well, you know, that's, you know, some veterans can afford to pay, and when they come down and then they find out about it, they tend to even support even more with the different, and we work with other organizations too. Well, you know, we want to help as many veterans out as possible.
Yeah.
You know, they deserve it. If anybody deserves
It's just good stuff.
So
all the way around.
And I think a lot of what you experience when you come down here though is Mexico and the Mexican culture. Like it's just a more caring, you know.
Yeah.
When you're at work in the United States, it's just, I just notice it's different. You know what I mean? Like our staff is, and a lot of them have been with us for a long time. You know, we're in our 10-year anniversary this month. And I've got, you know, looking around, I'm like, oh, you know, 10 years, 9 years, 8 years, you know, people that stuck through us all through COVID when we were forced to close down and just, you know, came back because they wanted to. And so, and those people that have been here, you know, they rise up in the organization, and that, you know, they kind of tell the new people what it's like there. And we're, you know, we're some different kinds of bosses too.
True.
You know,
very true.
It's a very like open, honest, no bullshit. You know, this is what we expect. This is what we want. And if people don't fit in, then, you know, they weed themselves out pretty quickly because if you don't want to be at your job, you can't be at this job. It's too hard.
Yeah, right. You're right.
And your coworkers, they're gonna realize it right away and be like, this ain't for you.
I was kind of a people watcher for a living, right?
Yeah, a little.
I watch, and I haven't seen one bit of drama, nothing. Everybody's happy.
Drama, believe me, but
well, yeah, but I mean, we're not. You know what I mean?
There's a reason they make soap operas about hospitals.
I know. But even like this, just going out to eat here, like a lot of people, we went out last night and you grab a couple of people you met or see them in the lobby, and we walk over to the restaurant district and we go to eat. And I mean, just they're like, everybody walks out and goes, oh my gosh, man. I mean, like they're right there for you. They're asking you if it's like you said, it's the culture. It's the culture.
It's the culture.
For sure.
And it's just so perfect where you guys get to stay that some of the best restaurants in Tijuana are walk right across the street.
Yes, sir.
And you're there. And not for nothing, they see that little CPI wristband.
I know.
They know me because I've been going there for years and years and years. There's not a restaurant in that whole area that like Ed, Dedrick, and I can't walk in and they're like, hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah.
Because we don't cook at home much. And once we found out about that area and how good the restaurants are, you know, it started to be like Monday here, Tuesday here, Wednesday here.
Well, this trip, I repeated my last trip. I was with you at Lorenzo's Monday. Yeah. Last night, I was at Casa de Lea.
So good, too. Did you get my cauliflower?
No, I didn't get that. I got a bunch of the taco de Leas. I got like 4 of them.
Those are real good, too.
And then the guy.
I got a birria tacos.
I know a new buddy who I've met this week. Oddly enough, a South Carolina guy as well, but he didn't tell me today. We went to eat last night at Casa de Leo, and he got clam chowder. And today he goes, that was literally the best clam chowder I've ever had in my life. I go, well, you didn't tell me when you were sitting next to me. I would have bought it.
That's
so
crazy.
I'm probably going back there tonight to get clam chowder.
Hey, let me know. Yeah, I never tried that there.
Oh, well.
The one thing I steer clear of around here is like the Italian food because it's just always got that salsa flavor. I'm like, this is not Italian. You see,
I did see lasagna.
You get Italian. That's like going to Milan or Rome and ordering a taco. You know, like
living in McAllen. You know, you get chips and salsa if you go to Pizza Hut. You know,
and you even said you're a little sketched out coming down to TJ, but that area of Tijuana where we're at, like, I mean, you're the safety expert, you know, not me, but like I tell people all the time, like, I don't worry about anything.
No.
If I go to LA, I'm more sketched out about where I'm
I was
parking
there
my
last
car,
week, and you're
you know,
correct.
what I'm wearing, and not even just like in the bad areas of what we consider the bad areas of LA, but just all of LA is sketch these days.
Yeah. And so I can say that that's a good point about the safety. Because me being who I am formerly, semi-retired, when I got here, I'm just transparent. I told them we were sitting at the bus at the Sheraton waiting to come in, and on the ride in, I was like, what do you do? I'm retired 28 years. And then one guy's wife who just came with him, she didn't get any treatments, but she tells him we're hanging with Scott all week. You know? And but I watch and I look, and I mean, everybody's in a group. It's one red light. You walk right across the street. Where you guys put us up to stay, it's really safe, very safe.
Yeah, it's not. I
And the hotel's safe.
park my car on the street. I have a really nice car, you know.
Yep.
Like, there's parts of LA, San Francisco, right? They tell you don't even,
gosh.
you know.
Yeah, New York City too.
I don't really, I don't stress about it, you know, at all. 10 years here, never had a patient have a problem. Never, you know, some of our employees live in San Diego, drive over every day, never have a problem. Cancer patients go walk around the whole neighborhood because they're here 3 weeks or a month.
Okay.
And so they get out and about a lot more than the stem cell patients do.
Okay.
You know, they get bored. What are you gonna sit in here? You know.
Yeah, same. I don't want to be in a hotel. That's what I did in Hollywood last week. I just sat in a hotel till it was time for somebody to pick me up because it was not good where I was at.
Oh yeah, I mean, Ed's favorite hotel is the Roosevelt, and like, you know, last couple of times we've been up there at night in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I was at the Thompson Hollywood by Hyatt. So I was at Sunset Boulevard. I'm right in the middle of the Walk of Fame.
Same area. Yeah,
Walk of Fame. It's a shame.
there ain't no fame there.
Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah, it's sad, but yeah, here. I mean, look, I mean, would I just take off and wander far away? Hey, you don't do that in New Orleans. You know, you don't do that. I'll just stay on Bourbon Street. But I'm telling you, everything I've seen, even the hotel staff is freaking amazing.
Yeah, they're good.
And again, culture and security. I mean, you gotta have you can only get to your floor kind of thing with your card, and everything's top notch, man. And that's why I tell people, and that's why I brought my daughter, and my other daughter will probably be coming with me at some point, and my wife, you know.
Well, I look forward to meeting all of them.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, before we go end this, make sure you plug your book. I know you sent me a copy. I don't have it yet, but I'm not an avid reader, but I'm gonna dig into it.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people who aren't avid readers, much like myself.
Is it you got audio yet?
Yeah, I did the audio.
And you did the audio?
Yeah, it's me.
That's what I'm doing for sure.
It's me. Yeah, it's the audio. Some people tell me, not that I'm trying to sell both, but some people tell me they buy the book and get the audio and then listen to me reading it while they read along.
Oh, that's
I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's codename Pale Horse, and the subtitle is How I Infiltrated America's Nazis or something like that. But it's codename Pale Horse. It's basically an autobiography. Chapter 1 is a quick synopsis of me growing up and what I consider probably one of the first undercovers I did, or using that kind of technique. Chapter 2 is vice and narcotics days and some pretty scary things in that. 3 on is all deep undercover cases, long term. And I've been blessed, man. It's my story. So,
well, after hearing the Rogan podcast about the being stuck, I'm not gonna ruin it for anybody who hasn't listened to it, but go listen to the Rogan podcast about when you were stuck and you thought it was.
oh yeah,
That I was like, damn, I was getting a little sweaty for it. I was like, holy shit. Well, you know, everyone you hear something like that, you're like, what the fuck would I do? You know, like, holy shit.
yeah. I was crapping my pants.
Yeah. Right. You're
Yeah, I
like,
was
God
scared.
damn, this clothes turning the closer.
Yeah, man.
That's how you know somebody's keeping an eye out for you. Right?
It was not a good moment for me.
Yeah.
As I tell a lot of people, I go, look, I would have rather heard that story about somebody else and say, man, that sucks, than to be standing there naked at gunpoint going, this sucks. This is not.
Gosh, I can't. It's crazy, you know. So I've had 2 really scary shit things like that in my life too. One was I went to Pakistan and I had a buzz cut, and the first night I was there, somebody broke into my first day I was there. I was out at factories to make jujitsu gis and boxing gloves and stuff, and they ransacked my room and to see just to see who I was.
Yeah.
Right? Because they didn't steal anything. They left the cash.
Yeah.
They left my Mac computer, my
Probably has
passport
bug in there as well.
You know, nothing. They might have, you know. And
you're in another country.
But they weren't shy. Like, they didn't, you know, they let me know we went through everything in your room because they didn't put any of it back. Right? Like, we're gonna tear your luggage apart. And then one night I was coming back from the factory, and it was like a holiday, and there was a party going on at the hotel. I was staying in the nicest hotel in the shithole, right?
Yeah.
And I got back there, and stupid me at first, I'm like, oh, a party. Finally, I can like do something. You know, I walked in there and I'm like, oh, wait, yeah, there's not a woman in here, right? But that whole night, they fucked with me, man.
Yeah.
They crank called me, they banged on my door, like everything. And then they let me sleep a little while. And then they called the phone, and I answered the phone. At the same time, somebody started pounding on the door. And bro, my bowels released. Like I ran in the bathroom, like sweating, like what am I gonna do? You know? And this is Pakistan, right? Everybody carries a gun. I forgot to tell you that part. You know, people just shoot guns randomly. When I first got there, I looked out on the balcony. There's like 100 men smoking cigarettes with guns. And people, they're just shooting guns up. You know, it's crazy. Out. It's like the West Virginia of Pakistan, right? Where all the factories are, there's like nothing out there. That was a scary.
You do know those bullets have to come back down, right? That's what.
Yeah, just hopefully not on me. I'm not shooting.
I know.
You know, it was crazy too, because, you know, they don't want you to take pictures of anything there. But I'm like, I gotta get some pictures of this stuff, right? So I had like one of the first Nokia camera phones, and like nobody even knew they were camera phones. So I'd be like pretending I'm talking on the phone and pressing like the picture button, dick with the sound turned down, so you can, you know, and then making a fake shutter sound, you know. And so I don't have like the best pictures, but I was able to get some pictures of people just randomly carrying guns around. So that was a scary one. And one time I was in Venice Beach, I went to buy some weed, and some cholos thought I was a cop. And a guy pulled out a little tiny, probably 22 or something, and just stuck it in my side. He's like, just wait here. And we sat there for like 2 hours. I'm like, bro, I'm not a cop. Like, I don't know what to tell you, you know what I mean? But, and like cars were like driving by, like looking at us and slowing down and everything. Like, I just want some weed for me and my girlfriend, you know, like, help me, man, you know. No, the cars were like, I think the cars were like part of their gang choking us out, because we were sitting on a bench for a bus, right? And the guy sat down to me, he's like, hey, you know, and I'm like, yeah, man, you know, I just want to get like a 20, a dub, you know, and everything. He's like, okay, and he pulls it out, and he, you know, stuck a gun like there and put his other arm in front of me with his jacket. I'm like, the fuck's going on, bro? Man, I just want 20. I got $20 right here, you know, like, and I don't know if they thought I was somebody else or anything, but then like some cars with some other like gangbanger dudes, like, you know, were driving real slow. All of them looking at me looking at them. I'm like, I don't know.
You're not one of us.
But finally they gave me my weed. I left my girlfriend at the beach in Venice Beach. I came back 2.5 hours later. She's flipping out. Where did you go? I'm like, how's that gunpoint? Yeah, shut the fuck up. I'm like, no, really, you know?
Yeah.
So
for you, babe.
Yeah. Yeah, more for me, but yeah.
I know. I did it all for you, honey.
So nothing quite as scary as that, you know, being stripped naked down into that. But
yeah.
You know, I never really thought this dude was going to shoot me, because I was just like, bro, like, what are you, I'm not, like, I don't know what you're waiting. If you think I'm a cop, like, how do you think sticking a gun in me, like, are you waiting for them to come and get you?
Yeah. What did
you know? Like, what do you want? You want that on your record?
Where do you see this going?
What's the end game here?
I don't. I see. Yeah, like in the book, you know, the you're talking about the basement scene and the snippet. If nobody's seen it or heard it, I go into great detail in the book. But yeah, a year and a half undercover with a violent gang. And they, at that point, after all the stuff we'd done, at a year and a half, they pulled me down into a basement, stripped me at gunpoint. Had to write all my information down. They went through all my clothing, and they I was wired to the hilt, and they almost found it. And it was, oof.
Like, what year was that?
Like 2007, 2008.
That wasn't too long ago.
Yeah. And then, you know, then there's all the other stuff.
I mean, I just figured now at this point, like, wires have got to be like so tiny and like so small. I guess you need a battery.
That's going to be, if you start getting into that, that would be tradecraft. But I mean, everybody carries a phone. You say no phone. I mean, it's just, clearly, if you've owned a cell phone or a computer, you know, from 2008 until now, technology has gotten way better. Mm-hmm. So that's fair to say. But I mean, there's other stuff. I mean, like in the book, like you go to meet some violent white supremacists for the first time, and it was probably 15 to 20 minutes after the cover team put a tracker on my car. The dude pulls out some big one, and it's picking up my tracker. Oh. And he's walking to the back of the car, and I'm like, holy shit, this is going to be a fast undercover.
Yeah.
I'm already dropping my right leg back nonchalantly, trying to get in the
Damn.
Fighting posture, because I'm like, he's walking and that thing's getting louder and louder, and he's walking right to where they put it. And then I live to fight another day on that one too.
Nuts.
I know.
Well, I gotta get the audio for the book.
Yeah, man. I wanted to do it. I wanted it to be more like this, like me having a conversation, like when I teach and stuff. But you literally had to read verbatim because that's what the FBI had approved, and that's the manuscript version that Simon & Schuster Legal had approved. So I'm reading verbatim, and I've got to read at this speed and talk right behind it. But we knocked it out pretty good.
Yeah. That's cool that you did it yourself.
Yeah, I've heard good things, good feedback.
Now I feel like you could just like talk it to AI for 2 minutes and it could read it for you.
They said we could. I said, you know what? I would like to hear what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Hear me talking just in this interview, and then
you can just do the cheap free one on the internet,
and then it'll just write the whole book. You know,
you could kind of tell the inflection. Like I've done the cheap free one, and it's the inflection gets, it's just not the same. Like when you listen, at least maybe because I know my own voice.
Yeah.
But damn,
you get a little snippet.
Somebody that doesn't know you for sure.
Yeah. You get a little snippet in there. Reminds me of that Total Recall movie. They're talking, and all of a sudden there's like there's a little something different. You go, what the hell was that? Are you a robot?
Well, right on, Scott, man. Thanks for coming in,
dude. Thank you for having me. And anybody, if you're suffering, man, give this a shot. This is, legitimately, literally, right? Give it a shot. It's a game changer.
Amen.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.